Hey guys, so we're going to have a pretty short video over coterminal angles, okay? So first off, let's discuss what is an angle. We should already know that, but just in case you don't, an angle is just this, okay? It's just where the angle is, we have two lines meeting at a vertex, which is a point, and the angle is just a measurement between the two lines, okay? And we usually measure this angle in degrees, but we've also been talking about measuring this angle in radians, okay? So we also have a way of changing every angle to standard position, okay? Standard position, merely means that I put the vertex at the origin. The initial side will always go on the right side of the x-axis, and then the terminal side we go around the x and y axes counterclockwise. Okay, you'll hear me say unit circle because we've been talking about the unit circle, all right? But technically there's no unit circle here, so it's still a standard position to go around in a counterclockwise position. Okay, so the part where we end we call it terminal side. Okay, so what I mean by that is let's look at it on the unit circle, as I was saying. Let's look at 30 degrees. Here would be the terminal, here would be the initial. Okay, and we know that the measurement from here to here is 30. Okay, so, and you'll notice I was going counterclockwise, so this is a positive 30 degrees. What if I wanted to find an angle that was coterminal? Well, coterminal tells me I'm looking for an angle that ends at the same spot that the other angle ends. So in other words, for 30 degrees, what I'm looking for is another angle that ends right here at 30 degrees as well. Well, think about this. Let's say your angle started right here at the initial side, as they're all in there, it's in standard position, and it went around the circle one time. So how many degrees is that so far? 360. But what if it went around the circle, went another 30 degrees? Wouldn't then this new angle you just made land at the same spot right here? Yes, it would. But what would be the measurement of that new angle? 390 degrees. Okay, so therefore I can say that 30 degrees and 390 degrees are the same angle. Well, what about if I ask you, what is an angle that is coterminal to 450? Okay, so I want you to tell me an angle that's coterminal 450. Well, you could think about, okay, I know that 450 degrees is 360, so that'd be one time around the circle, and then I have to add another 90 degrees. Boom, that'd be right here. So then it would be 90 degrees would be coterminal. Hopefully you're kind of seeing a pattern here. But if you want to find a coterminal angle, it's very, very easy. Okay, simply to find a coterminal angle, and I'm going to type this out, to find coterminal angles, either add 360 degrees or subtract 360 degrees. Now that's assuming it's in degrees. What if it was in radians? Well, same thing, but you would have to add 2 pi or subtract 2 pi. All right, and you can do this as many times as you want to continue finding more and more angles. What I mean by that is, let's say I wanted to find another coterminal angle to 450 degrees. Well, I could add, so I know that 90 is coterminal, right? But I could add another 360 degrees to 450, which would be, let's see here, 810. So I could also say that 810 is coterminal because I just added 360 degrees to 450. Well, what if I wanted to find another one that was coterminal? Well, you could go to 90 degrees and you could subtract 360. So you could then say negative 270 degrees is coterminal. Okay? So to find coterminal angles, really you're just adding and subtracting either 360 or 2 pi. Now, as we kind of talked about this stuff in class, a lot of us did not struggle with this concept. You kind of did at first, but eventually you kind of got that. So in general, here's the lesson. To find coterminal angles, either add or subtract 360 or 2 pi. Okay? But a lot of us struggled with, what if I'm dealing with, some radians, and so 2 pi is weird to me. I'm struggling with it, so let's look at some direct examples. Okay, so let's consider 32 pi over 3 radians and 11 pi over 3 radians. Are these two, and I'm going to ask you this question, are they coterminal? Are they coterminal? Okay, well, what does it mean to be coterminal again? They land at the same spot in the unit circle. Okay, Well, how do I find coterminal angles? I either add or subtract 2 pi, because these are radians, that's why it's 2 pi. If it was degrees, it would be 360. Okay, so let me ask you this question. Which one's bigger, 32 over 3 or 11 over 3? Hopefully like 32 over 3, okay? So I prefer to start with the smaller one, all right? So I have 11 pi over 3. Well, what can I do to check to see if they're coterminal? Well, I could add 2 pi to this, right? And if I add 2 pi, I can see if it's that number, all right? So how do I add 2 pi to 11 pi over 3? Well, one, they both have pi's. So that means my final answer is going to be in terms of pi. So that means it's just going to be there. I don't need to worry about, multiplying by pi or adding pi. It's there. So really what I need to know is what is 11 over 3 plus 2? Well, our handy dandy calculator can do that for us, if it'll ever turn on. This has got to be the longest part. And I know I say this all the time. This has got to be the longest part of every video. It's just watching me try to turn on the calculator, which I guess a smarter person would just pause and turn it on and then put it back on. But, I enjoy y'all getting to watch me do weird things. All right. So 11 over 3. Whoops, I added one too many 3. And then I'm just going to say add 2. Math, enter, so I can turn it back to a fraction. And I get 17 pi over 3. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, okay, so they're not coterminal. Well, hold on there. Hold on there. You got 17 pi over 3. Is that am I past 32 pi over 3 yet? Am I greater than 32 pi over 3? No. 17 pi over 3 is still smaller. So if I added another 2 pi, which still makes it coterminal, because I'm just, to get coterminal angles, you either add or subtract 2 pi. All right? So I'm just going to add another 2 pi. And if 17 pi, so I'm just going to do 17 over 3 plus 2. If this gives me 32 pi over 3, then I can say they are coterminal. Math, I forgot to change it back to a fraction. So that gives me 23 over 3. Hopefully you're still like, that wouldn't be big enough, all right? Because now we have 23 pi over 3. Have we yet passed 32 pi over 3? No, we have not. So now I say, okay, so I need to check it again. I need to add another 2 pi, all right? So we're going to do that. So we then say add 2, enter, math, enter, and we get 29 over 3. Have we passed 32 pi over 3 yet? No. So there's still a chance it's going to fall. It's just several rotations around the circle. All right, so we're going to check again by adding another 2. All right, so math, enter, 35 pi over 3. Now I have passed over 32 pi over 3. So I went from 29 pi over 3 to 35 pi over 3. So are these two then coterminal? Do they fall at the same spot in the circle? No, they do not. No. Okay. Give you, let's say, 8 radians. Okay. And I ask you to find a coterminal angle that is between 0 and 2 pi. Now notice, I've told you it's 8 radians. Okay. So you might say, easy. I can find coterminal angles now, based on this video, by either adding or subtracting 2 pi. Exactly, this is in radians. Otherwise, it'd be 360 if it was degrees. Okay? But you're like, this is in radians. It needs to be between 0 and 2 pi, though. So which way do you need to go to make 8 be within 0 to 2 pi? Okay, here's something you might want to think about. What is 2 pi? Well, pi is 3.14, so 2 pi is 2 times 3.14, so something like 6.28. All right, so we need a number to fall between 0 to 6.28. Does 8 fall between that? No. Okay, how can I still find coterminal angles? By subtracting 2 pi. So if you say 8 radians minus 2 pi radians, well, that's going to be 8 minus 6.28. Is 8 minus 6.28 going to fall between 0 to 6.28? Yes, it is. But we like to write our radian answers in terms of pi. So we're going to leave it like this. I know that's weird, and it's going to take some thought. And you might want to go back and rewatch what I just said, but it's the idea that 8 minus 6.28 is like 1.5. It's 1.8, something like that, 1.7 point something. 1.72, I think. So this is really 1.72, which would fall between 0 to 6.28, which means it is between 0 to 2 pi. Therefore, this is coterminal to this because I subtracted 2 pi. Remember, to make coterminal angles, you just add or subtract 2 pi, or 360 degrees. All right, let's do one more. Let's say that I give you an angle of negative 800 degrees. And I say I want you to find a coterminal angle that is between 0 and 360 degrees. Okay? Well, right now it's negative 800. What am I going to have to do to make sure I get coterminal angles but get it to be in between here? That's right, I'm going to start by adding 360. Alright, so I add 360. And that gives me something like 500, 440, negative. Okay. So now I'm going to add 360. And that's going to give me negative 80. I'm still not within that realm, but you'll notice I'm just adding 360 every time. So I add another 360. And that gives me positive 280. So I can say that negative 800 and 280 are coterminal, and 280 is between 0 to 360, which was my requirement. Technically, guys, negative 800 is also coterminal with negative 440, which is also coterminal with negative 80, which is also coterminal with 280. Alright, all of these guys are coterminal, but my instructions were take the negative 800 and find a coterminal angle that is between 0 to 360 degrees. Alright guys, I kind of hope I helped you out. I tried to give you a crash course example into this stuff. Please let me know what questions don't make sense and what can I do to improve. Thanks.